Hello and a very warm welcome to Brick TV. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Louise and Keely from The Brick. And they're going to be talking to us today about the work that they do, their background and the work that they do at The Brick, and some of the challenges that they've had over the last few months as a result of everything that we know about called the coronavirus. Plus the future and everything that they've got planned for the future. So a very warm welcome to The Brick TV, Louise and Keely.
Thanks, Phil. Really great to start doing this Brick TV, doing this podcast. My name's Louise Green, and I'm the CEO of The Brick charity. A little bit of background from me. I'm the longest serving member of staff. I started in 2011. I started as a tenancy support worker, and I've moved my way up, and I'm now the CEO. I have 22 years of social housing experience, so that's what's brought me into this sector. And the reason for joining with The Brick is that it's a local charity, and I really wanted to do something local. And I went there, and I've stayed there ever since because I just love what we do and the impact that we make in our community.
Wonderful. And what about you, Keely? Tell us about yourself.
Hi, Phil. My name's Keely Dalfen. I've been with The Brick now for about 2 years, but previous to that, I was actually volunteering. My background is that I'm an accountant. I've been working in business for over 20 years, really, and I wanted to just do something a lot more fulfilling. So my role at The Brick is I'm the finance and commercial director. And probably now probably 20% of my time is actually doing accountancy. The rest of it is really helping to sustain the charity. So looking at different income streams, writing bids, writing grants, just making sure that we're future proofed really, financially. So it's extremely rewarding, and I just love the thought that I can use my skills and use my qualifications to actually give something back.
Brilliant. Well, I know you're both extremely passionate about what you do, which is inspirational, especially in such tough times. So, Louise, give me some indication as to why you decided to start doing video and audio and podcasts, what the drivers are and what the drivers are behind the channel that you're doing.
Well, as with many organizations, communication can always be an issue, can't it? And we felt that, podcasting, especially in this environment with COVID, was another way of getting that message across. So, internally we use it for staff, and it's a great way now to connect with the community so they can see what we're doing. They can kind of like live the day that we live in a way by just learning to see what's going on. So we get a lot of phone calls asking about, what kind of stuff we do. And I think it's a good way to promote that. I think businesses can, if they're looking to provide social value to their business, they can come on and see what we do and see if we fit what they're hoping to support in the community. So I think the main thing is really communication. I think it's a great communication platform for people to get to know us, and hopefully it will do well.
Fantastic. That's great. Yes, well, it absolutely is. And of course, audio and video is now very, very possible on the internet and everything that's just feasible, which wouldn't have been possible 5 or 10 years ago. And it's great to see you leading by example as well, particularly in the charity sector, which you won't find this sort of thing very common in the charity sector. So it's fantastic to see you leading by example as well. Brilliant. Okay, so we're recording this later in December. So we've had now what is almost like what you might call 9 or 10 months of COVID, which is just unprecedented is the word that's used. And I think it's an understatement now. Everything's obviously been massively challenging for so many companies and so many organizations, and of course for so many charities. So what have you had to do, and how have you had to adapt to cope with the challenges of the COVID situation? Let's start with you, Keely. What do you think?
I think the last 9 months, 10 months, they've been extremely challenging. But as a charity, we're really used to dealing with people in crisis. And that's almost sort of what we do every day. So as much as it's been so challenging, it's like almost that this is what we were here to do. It doesn't really feel any different. You know, we've ramped up, we've not pulled any services. You know, where we can, we've asked staff to work from home. We want to keep everyone as safe as possible, but obviously working with people who are either homeless or in need of food, that's not possible for lots of our staff. So it's been actually really humbling experience to see how many of our staff have actually really, rather than you know, they've really stepped up. Everyone's stepped up, and they haven't been afraid to do that at all. So we've been able to flex our services. We've moved really quickly to respond to the different changes that we've had to put in place. For example, we weren't able to run our shelters as they were because we're communal shelters. So we very quickly moved everybody into a hotel setting. That was pretty much done on one Friday night. Yeah, I'd say that for most staff, Friday nights are like, you just think something's going to happen tonight, we're going to have to do it, and we do it, and it's absolutely amazing to see. So it's actually been really rewarding as well as quite scary, because some of the things that we found is that funding streams have been cut drastically. So whereas in the past our funding might have been, we might have been able to get grants for 3-5 years, they've really been cut back, and so it's quite small 6-month chunks. Which means that future planning is very, very difficult. We had to close our shops again, which was a really difficult time, because we do get a lot of surplus from our shops that we can then use for charitable activities. And we've had to cancel fundraising events. So we have lost income and we've lost donations. But the public have been amazing and businesses have been amazing, and locally the community has just stood by us and helped us, you know, whenever we've had to ask for help, really. So challenging, but very, very rewarding and quite inspiring, really.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. Louise, what are your thoughts on it?
So I absolutely agree with everything Keely said. You know, our staff have been amazing, and I think one thing to say about the staff is that they're key, you know, the majority of our staff at the Brick are key workers, and they, you know, they've had to come in, you know, every day throughout the pandemic, you know, wear the PPE, which can sometimes be uncomfortable, and you know, because we're working with people, so you can't just anymore. Just like care homes and the NHS, you know, you have to go to work, and they've done that, and that's a huge attribute to the charity. That the staff have just continued to do it. They've not moaned about it. They just knew that you know, that it's got to be done, and they've been doing it. So, you know, we're really fortunate to have such a staff base that we do.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So, Louise, I talked to a lot of organisations about the importance today of entrepreneurial tendencies. Is that something that's key now? Just what Keely was saying there about thinking more entrepreneurially and more creative about how you can tap into funding streams.
So yeah, obviously with COVID, a lot of the funding's been very short-term funding, you know, to help you get over the initial crisis of COVID. And you know, Keely's been really good in working outside that kind of box of the funding anyway. How do we make ourselves more sustainable? Some of the key answers to that is working more with the businesses, getting their support. It may not be monetary donations that we get from businesses, but their value that they have in their experience can add to the organization and support us greatly. So if they've got expertise in certain areas and they want to share that, that's really useful, because obviously it's probably something we can't afford to get and bring in if we had to pay for it. So businesses that can, you know, donate their time that way is also really helpful. And I think the fact that we are, you know, looking to more retail shops and branching out that way is going to help diversify our income, so we're not solely reliant on the traditional funding streams. And I think this is really exciting territory for us to be heading into. I'm sure Keely's got more to add on that.
I think, yeah, from my perspective, it's absolutely amazing to be able to use those skills that I've had in business to bring those to the Brick, because I've always worked in quite small owner-managed entrepreneurial environments. So I've learned from the best, really, and to be able to bring those learnings to the charity, it's just great, because I think even from a very early age, you know, I felt like I wanted to give back, and so being at the Brick, that's enabled me to do that, not just to give back, but to work for a cause rather than actually making money for money's sake, because we can see, you know, the impact. And being quite a small medium-sized charity, everybody gets to see that impact. So from the first person that walks through the door to how they transition to a more sustainable, happy, you know, fulfilling life, and it's amazing to be able to measure that social impact of every pound that gets donated and given to us. So we're quite privileged, really, I feel very privileged to be able to do that for the Brick.
Brilliant. And is it important then to ensure that the employees and the staff are engaged in the process, you know, so that they can contribute ideas and possibilities rather than just seeing it as management's job to come up with everything? Do you engage them in that process?
Yeah, I mean, that we couldn't, you know, do a lot of everything really without the staff. I mean, we've got some amazing retail staff who they bring people in from other retail organisations, look at how we can run the shops more commercially, but not just about money as well. It's about the community and how we give back to those communities that the shops are in. And so, you know, this year we found a lot of the other charity shops haven't opened up, but ours have. And because of that, we've attracted more people, we've attracted new volunteers, we've attracted a completely different cohort of volunteer. And that's all come from staff. That's come from, you know, staff having more inspirational ideas. They're on the ground. They know much more than me and Louise, because every day they're seeing it and they're living it and breathing it. And they're amazing.
Brilliant. Oh, you must be very proud of that, actually, because it's not an easy thing to achieve, is it?
No, but I think it's almost like we're quite thin at the top. So if it wasn't like that. It wouldn't work. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. Right. Okay. So talk to me then a little bit about how you've ramped up the support, which is a great news, actually, because you might think that there'd be a tendency in a pandemic of this type, unprecedented, as we've said, to cut back a lot, actually, and probably find a lot of charities are cutting back. What can we cut back? What can we do? But you seem to be doing all sorts of things to try and expand the support. So tell me a few things then that you've done. Start with you, Louise.
So obviously, as Keely, you know, touched on before, we had shared accommodation, which isn't suitable through the pandemic. So within 2 days, we had to mobilize all the people that, you know, we're supporting and move them into hotel accommodation. We did that with the help of our partners as well, Wigan Council. And we managed to move everyone into their own accommodation. Another thing, obviously, that, you know, it's been well talked about since the pandemic is the number of food parcels that need to be distributed, especially to children and families, and we've had to ramp that up massively. So we hit a peak in the early pandemic, where I think, you know, we were doing a couple of thousand a week, which is a massive increase to the same time last year. So and the other thing that you know, people probably don't realize is that, if you remember, you could go into the shops and buy a limited number of tins, or usually the stocks were bare. The shelves had nothing on them anyway. So we found that really difficult. And what we did is we knowing people that we know, we were able to access different places that we could buy the food in bulk. And we've had some really great responses from some organizations that helped us to buy that food in bulk. And without that, I think we would have really struggled. The other thing is the members of the public. So, you know, the fact that they were going in and using their allocation of 3 tins of beans to put towards the charity, again, is another huge sacrifice that they made to make sure that the people in their community, you know, are getting the. Since the numbers increased is because people have lost their jobs. You know, that is a fact. There's a lot of things out there that aren't running right now. And you know, they're only guilty of not putting away for a rainy day. But I mean, you know, really, do we all do that and put away for a rainy day? You know, should they be punished for not having that money to fall back on? I don't think they should. And I'm really glad that we were able to step up and give that support to the people. I'm really, really proud of the BRIC for being able to do that. And I think Keely can probably shed some light into the numbers of food parcels we gave out.
Yeah, in the last 6 months we did 7,000, which is usually in a year we do around 5,000. So you can imagine that it's an absolutely huge increase. And then on, about a third of those were parcels for children. But we want to do even more. That it's not just about giving the food and walking away, because food poverty is a symptom of something else. That actually isn't the problem. The problem is why somebody can't afford food, why children are going hungry. And that's our next step. That's the next step we want to do. And we're really dedicated as a charity to do that, to help people actually transition out of that that lifestyle that they've got now, where they're scrambling for food during the week. In this day and age, that's not right. It's not morally right. So we want to be able to actually bring people, and it's very, very difficult because we're in a pandemic, but actually bring people in so we can give them choice and we can give them dignity, because food banks are brilliant for fixing that initial sort of that, giving that little bit of relief that's needed for that week. But fortunately, that's all they do. And we've had food banks now for 10 years and nothing's changing. So what we want to do is we want to delve deeper and look at what the underlying causes of that food poverty are and actually fix those problems. So that's a big thing for next year. We want to signpost people to the right services, whether that might be because people are in debt and need debt counselling. They might not understand what benefits they can claim, so they might need to be signposted to help with what they're entitled to, make sure they're entitled to everything that they can get. What else? Could be fuel poverty is a problem. We can help with that. It could be basic education issues or training issues. We know we're going to see a lot of people with a lot of these issues and these problems, and we need to sort those things out, and almost the food bank becomes that gateway to the services that people really need. So yeah, it's not ending. It's actually given us a lot of learning this last 9 months to understand what people's problems are and what those changing problems are as well, and to look at what we're going to do for the future.
Brilliant. I think what that highlights actually is how important it is for charities, just like companies, private companies in the commercial sector, to be strategic in the approach and not just reactive, tactical. And you don't tend to think of charities as strategic. You tend to think of them as tactical. Is that a fair comment, Louise?
Yeah, I would agree that, you're absolutely right. I think, though, a lot of charities are changing the way that they work. And it is really necessary. I think, the BRIC is really keen on, we have the 3 R's, which is relief, restoration, and reformation. And we're really, really keen on, obviously, yes, people need to be provided with the basic need before they can, they can even think about doing anything more. If somebody's going hungry, they're not going to want to know about training, are they? They're not going to want to know about possibly getting a job next week. Family's hungry and they need that food. So there is that need to provide that relief. And once you've provided that relief, we work into restoration, and it's about, getting people to step outside their comfort zones, really. And let's look and see, like Keely mentioned, what is the root of the issue and how can we work at that rather than just, providing you with the food parcel. So there is this real need. And I think, Keely does this well with her team, looking at social value, and that helps us to determine where we need to strategically place our time and efforts for the next 12 months. Because the BRIC doesn't just want to provide that relief. It is looking more for the restoration. It is also looking at reformation. We want to have a voice. We want to, make sure that what's going on. But the other thing is that we want to give people their own voice. We want to give them the confidence and the experience, and that they can have their own voice, and they can go out there and tell, you know, they can challenge the system themselves as well as us supporting them to challenge the system. So those are all the three things that we're working towards. And as a charity, if we stick to those things, I think we can make a real impact, which is the ideal situation is that the brick doesn't need to exist. You know what I mean? That would be the ideal situation. And that's what we're always working towards.
It's almost put yourself out of business in a strange kind of way, isn't it?
Yeah.
We could all hope. We could all hope in the nicest possible way. We can all hope. Okay, so finally then, obviously there could be a number of businesses and organisations around the area watching this. What sort of things do you need from them in terms of their support and help and contributions? Keely, what do you think?
Well, next year, I think for us all, we want to concentrate on restoration. We want to. This year has been about relief, and it has been about relief because of the pandemic. That choice has almost been taken away from us a little bit. Next year, we're going to restoration. We're going to move people on. We're going to transition people, and to be able to do that, we need to give them opportunities and give them experiences that takes them out of their comfort zone sometimes, but actually it allows people to excel. And to be able to do that, we can't do that on our own. And poverty and homelessness and inequality, it's something that everybody as a society needs to take responsibility for, and businesses need to take responsibility for, because it isn't going to be done just by the welfare state. We can see that now. We need to work together as a team, as a whole team in Wigan and Leigh, and help as many people as we can. So I think really I'm appealing for businesses to think about what they can offer in terms of, and as Louise said before, it doesn't always have to be money. Money is great. I'm the finance director. Yeah, give me money, that's fine. But it doesn't have to be about that. It can be about work experience placements. It can be about mentoring. If people want to come and visit us and come and see how we mentor people, it's about building relationships and giving people confidence in order to enable them to live independently from the brick. That's what we're striving for all the time. And to be able to do that, we do need to have a network of people, of businesses, of volunteers who can help people that we're working with, people who are struggling to fulfill their potential, basically. So yeah, it's work experience placements, it's volunteering time, it's fundraising. We're really keen on businesses to actually look at what they need as well. And if they want to do some teamwork, lots of people won't have worked together as teams for many months. So looking at different fundraising and events, maybe they can do even remotely, virtually, to bring businesses together as teams and to help us would just be brilliant. So any ideas like that, we're always willing to hear them.
That's a really good point, actually. So apart from all the practical help people can give, even ideas is worth contacting you about. Louise, have you anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think like the brick believes that people shouldn't just live in a property, they should thrive in their property. And I think the businesses can help us do that. I think that they've got the knowledge and the expertise, and even the staff base as well, to support us in getting people to thrive in their properties. Because I think we all know that if somebody's not thriving, it's not a sustainable end, is it? We all need to thrive, and that's sustainable. So that's what we're working towards. So the businesses can help us. And as Keely's mentioned, in any way possible, get in contact with us. Some organizations have volunteer days. It may be that, they can, some of their staff want to volunteer for us and help us to do a project, or like Keely said, do some fundraising as a team, and use it as a team building exercise. So there's loads of different things, I think, out there. I think there's also things that we've never even thought about that I'm sure businesses have, can come forward and give us these ideas. And I just think that's what it is. It's this whole partnership working with charities, businesses, and the members of the public and the community out there to work together.
Excellent. So how do people get hold of you then, Louise? How do people contact you?
So you can call us on 01942 236 953, and be patient, because sometimes it does take a while to get through, because we do get a lot of calls. We also have a web chat that if you needed, to just wanted something quickly, you could ask there, and they might be able to point you in the right direction. You can email myself, which is louise@thebrick.org.uk, or you can email Keely@thebrick.org.uk, and we'll make sure you're connected to the right person to be able to take any of your suggestions or ideas forward.
Fantastic. Louise, Keely, thanks very much for joining me today on the Brick TV. Absolutely fantastic. The very, very best of luck. I don't think you'll need it from what I'm hearing today. You've obviously got plenty of passion and plenty of drive, determination and skills. So you've got it all there to do. So thanks very much indeed for joining me today.
Thank you, Phil.
Thank you, Phil.